Okay, hopefully I am live. I'm Patrick Bay with IQlist.com. Today, December 2nd, 2019. And in this video, I'll be sharing something I did recently, but also designing something. We're doing Openscad again, which seems to be kind of fun for live streams. But I need to probably start doing a few Fusion 360s too. But in this video, what we'll be doing, I already designed it up and done, and yeah, I've already designed an Openscad. It's all complete, so I have a reference. But what I'm designing is a brick holder. So I have we're starting to decorate for Christmas. And let's see, I have an image here. Hopefully I can find, there we go. So we recently moved in this house this last year. And so we have, for the first time in quite a long time, and we've had a nice little gas fireplace. Uh, and then we have this wall of faux brick up there. And my mother-in-law and my mother wanted to hang a wreath on there. So I said, there's these the bricks, as you can see in this image, are really kind of out of line. And so it's kind of hard to figure out how to set something on there that will hook on there. So what I did is I worked with a friend of mine and we started poking around the internet to see what's out there to hook onto a brick. And a couple of designs we came across that we liked. One, if you go to Reddit, and I'll put a link in the show notes to this at some point after this live video, this guy had a really nice little interesting thing, but he was using TPA, which is a little bit TPU, which is a little bit softer material. So you could squish it in there, and you could hang this stuff on there, which is pretty cool. But I don't have any TPU, and I haven't really dived in that world. And so I started looking around to see if I could. But I did like this idea, little rings. So I came with a couple of ideas, and did I scan my thing in? I totally did not scan my thing in. Didn't prep for that. Let's see. I put it on my scanner and actually didn't scan. So let me go see if I can scan it in here, because I have my idea book. Come on, scan in. I got my idea book where I always write out my ideas so I can generate some stuff. I can do some documentation a little bit to help guide me where I'm going, and then I can iterate. So let me see if I can scan this in while I do it. Ooh, I totally can, and it's upside down. Just when I thought I was ready for this. Okay, let's see. We will save that on here. We will edit it. I prepped a bunch of stuff. I just didn't prep this one image. Okay. The joys of doing things live. Okay. Image. Rotate this. Do it again. We'll do a little cut in here. Image, crop. Let me save this off. Save as. Fun stuff. Example. Yep, save. Okay, while that saves, right, example, drop in over here. There we go. There we go. Let me go grab my book here real quick. Okay, so if anyone's watching live right now, you can shout out in the channel and say something, say hi, just so I can know people are alive. But like I do with a lot of these things, I like to write down in my notebook, put a day on there, get some drawings, and try to figure out a little bit what's going on before I dive in too much. And so and here you can see some of the measurements. Let me see if I can zoom in. I was kind of seeing like the little ledge there was like 3 millimeters, and the height of the brick was 80 millimeters. And so I was making some notes on what I could do. So I came up with a bunch of different ideas, and one of the ideas that I came up with that worked pretty well was this basic idea. Let's see if this comes on the camera pretty well. But the idea is based on, I'm jumping ahead a little bit too much, this guy, this little family of stuff I found pictures of, but I could not find a link to it. They look 3D printed to me, but I can't find a link to a 3D print or a product page or anything for these. So if someone happens to run across one, hey, send a link to me and I'll post it. But the idea behind this, I really like this because you hook up here on the top, you hook on the bottom, and then as it squeezes, as you put something on here and weigh it down, it's going to pinch in and hold the brick tighter. So I really like that idea. And so we printed this out, put it up there, and it worked pretty well with that little narrow ledge. But also, when I first designed this, I did it kind of quick in Fusion 360 and tweaked it a little bit here and there, got it to work, and I thought this is a perfect candidate to do an Openscad because then I could change it. So uh, with that in mind, for those who are new to Openscad, you can go to openscad.org and download it. And in this case, I'll be referring to the cheat sheet a lot, openscad.org cheat sheet. So I will open up a new one. Like I've got a couple of people viewing now. Okay, so here's Openscad. And for those who are unfamiliar with Openscad, it is 3D design as code. So I can come in here and say, circle to, in this case, it's a two-dimensional circle. And then I can run it and, let me change this it made a circle, but you can see it's not very detailed. I can set this FN number, which I'll set to 100, and there we go, much more circle-like. And so 3D design is code. So you can code it, you can make modules, and you can make reuse code, and you can do a lot of cool stuff. I think it's something excellent to teach. Some of the emphasis of my channel is trying to help homeschoolers, and I guess some teachers now too, on how do you teach some of these things, how can you do some things that are interesting. And so with that in mind, I'll start mocking this up and programming it, redoing what I did before, and the idea is you might learn some new techniques, or if you have some other ideas in the channel, just post some ideas. I know some people on here who know some different aspects or know Openscad better than I do, and always have some input. So the idea to get this hook in, let's see if I can show you this right now. It's a little hard to see my drawing here, but I got these different arcs. So also here's my little cheat sheet. We're going to be doing some sines and cosines and tangents. So to help everyone out, and also for my own sake, just a nice cheat sheet here. The old geometry stuff, the hypotenuse, adjacent, opposite, figuring out the sines and cosines and tangents, which you can do sines and cosines and tangents with an Openscad. It's very mathematical in that sense. But let's start down this road. So let me open the new one. And also, I'll show you where it ends up. So here is where we end up. We get this nice little thing that we can make this. And also we can change the variables. So I can come down here and say, hey, you know what? I don't want this to be quite as long. I can rerun it and make that shorter. That's where we're going to end up. And I'll kind of keep this over to the side so I can reference it, because sometimes it gets a little complex on what your brain is and what you remember. So first thing I'll do is I'll kind of do this. We'll just start with some of the parameters we need. So there's the thickness. And by thickness, I mean the overall thickness of this thing overall. How thick do I want this, and how thick do you want this? And so we'll start, and right now it looks like I'm using 4. And also to let people know, Openscad is unitless. So when I say 4, it's for something. Now, but when we convert this to an STL file and we run it through, I'm using a Prusa printer and the Prusa slicer, STL files are unitless too. But 4, once you do the whole thing, it kind of becomes equivalent and ends up being millimeters. So when I say 4 here, it really is nice and it kind of flows. So 4 is 4 millimeters at the end of the day. Even though Openscad is unitless, and even though STL files are unitless, once it's all said and done with the way that I'm doing it, 4 equals 4 millimeters. So I got the thickness, and then we have the height. Well, it's kind of funny to say this, you might think of this as the thickness, but I'm calling it the height. How tall are you going to make this so you can make it stronger in that sense? I'm just going to call it height, which I always misspell height. I don't know what's in my brain. And so we'll make it 10 at first. But also let you know, this nice thing is you can change this. I would make this height very small for testing purposes before you get the right height, before you get the right one. So you probably make it like a 1 to begin with. But we'll leave it at 10. And there's some other parameters. And we'll start simple. We'll add these as we need them. We'll say height of the brick. In this case, looks like mine happens to be 83. Works for me. And what that's going to be is uh, how long this piece is going to be in here where it's going to grasp. So we'll leave that there. There's some more variables I need to add, but we'll start there because we'll start piece by piece. So the first thing we'll do is we'll come down and we're going to make, I'll drag this over. We're going to make this first section, we're just going to make this one line. And so one easy way to do that is to use hulls. So we'll come down here and we will start to make a module and link it up. So I called it front. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I called it front for some reason. So in here, if you're familiar with programming, you can make functions. Here they call them modules. Here I can make this module. It's a bit of reuse code. And so I'll call it the front piece, which is going to be this front piece again. And we'll pass some variables into it, even though I don't need to, but I like to. I'll pass the thickness and the height, and I'll kind of keep the same name. And I'll say, okay, I'm going to, well, before we do a hole, we'll make some circles. So I'll make a circle, and we'll make, we're going to use circles for our thickness. So circles, if you give them a number, that's going to be the radius. But if we set a d equals in front of it, it's going to be the diameter. So we want that diameter. So we'll say thickness, boom. And we'll just stop right there. We'll say, okay, we're going to start right here. If I try to run this, nothing's going to happen because it doesn't know to actually run this module. So I'll come down here and I'll say, okay, run this module. And I'll pass in the thickness and I'll pass in the height. Semicolon. And I'll run that, and there you go. There's my little dot. So that got done. But now, one thing we'll do, which I think last time we did this or the time before, Oslo pointed out, we can do colors. We can do colors when we're doing the quick view here, using this quick view. So I can come down here, and I can say color. And there's a couple different ways to do this, but I like using the old school web way of doing it, where you have two hexadecimal numbers for red, green, and blue. And so if I come down here and say FF, that's as red as you can get. Red, green, blue, and say enough of that. And then I'll close this all in and run that. And so now we're red. Little dot is red. Now it's showing up as a three-dimensional object, but it's not right now. It really is actually a flat thing. So now we'll come down here. We've got that one dot, but we're going to want to move it. So it's not in the right location. And so what we're going to do is we're going to move this dot. We're going to make two dots. We'll make one dot as high as we can go. I shouldn't say as high as we can go. Halfway up. So we'll translate it. So we'll say translate. And if anyone has any questions or wants me to slow down or wants me to go over anything, they can just write something in the chat channel. In fact, I should say something in the chat channel. Hello. Okay. So I'm going to translate that, but in this case, I only want to translate it in the Y position. So here we can do this. We say X, Y, Z, only doing it to point out, right now those have no meaning, but this is the X position, this is the Y position, this is the Z position. X, we don't want to move. Z, we don't want to move. We want to move the Y. And we want to move the Y, the height. Oh, I said that. Did I say that wrong? Height. Height of the brick. Yeah, height of the brick. Oop, I did that wrong. Height of the brick. And here's one thing with programming. So here's the height of the brick. I'm passing this number 83, height of the brick. And then now locally, I changed it to height. I could have kept it height of brick, but this is a different variable, and this height is only, this variable is only valid within this module, and it kind of overrides this one in a sense. It doesn't change this one, this height, but it does have its own height within here. So it's, what's the word for that? In programming. I can't think of it right now. But there we go. So now I'll say height, which is that height, which in this case we just 83. So we want to divide that by 2. So I'll say height divided by Can't spell. Height divided by 2. We should see this pop up. If I can spell. Height of the brick. Oh, there we go. I mistyped that. There we go. Let's see. We should. Boom. Pops up there. And you can see there's 40 right there. So it's roughly 43 up. But now we want to do 2. So we're going to put one that high, and we're going to draw another one that is on the opposite side. So we'll say translate. Well, there's a couple ways of doing it. Let's say you could translate or you could mirror, but I'll just do a second one. And I'll say, okay, the second one, I'll just copy and paste. I'm going to be negative height divided by 2. If I run that, boom, I got my second guy. Now, one nice thing, because I want that nice line, there's a function you can see in the cheat sheet here. So you can find it called hull. So there's that transformation hull. You can open that up and find out more details about it. But the idea is you can have, like here they got 2 dots here, and you can connect them. And it makes this nice connection there. So I'm going to do that. So I'll say hull, and wrap that whole thing there. And space that a little bit, and run it. And boom, I got my connection. So there we go. Now, so there's our first part. Now our first part is there, but one thing it's not doing is it actually doesn't occupy 3-dimensional space. It's actually, even though it looks like it is, it's not. If we try to make an STL file of this, we just have nothing. So I'm going to come up here where we made that and do what's called a linear extrude, which of course is defined here. So we can say linear extrude. And so we can use that to, like a piece of Play-Doh, we can kind of push it up and get the shape we want. So I will come over here and do a linear extrude. And for my linear extrude, I want that height. So I'll use that height there. And anything encapsulated within this will extrude like that. So if I run this, boom, now I have a 3-dimensional space. So now I could make an STL file of this and actually print it out, and I'd have this little line. So there's our front part, just like we have over here. Boom, boom, boom. Now comes the fun part. So now, how do you properly make this arc line up and do it just right? And also, how much of an arc do you want? So there's what this consists of right here is there's this arc, and over here there's a line. So how long do you want to make this line, and how much do you want to angle this arc? Those are variables we can set up. And so, and what we will do is what we're going to do is make 2 big circles. We'll make a big circle and a small circle and subtract one from the other one and extrude it to make that. And then we have 2 small circles, and those are just hulled together. But we have to do it precisely so it all lines up perfectly. So we've got to do some math. So I will add some more variables in here. I've got the height of the brick. Oh, here my note. And okay, part that holds to wall. So next are the variables that we use to hold the wall. So I added a grasp depth. And so that's how long you want these to come out. Maybe you want them to be short and narrow because your brick's not short and narrow, or longer because maybe you got more space there. And why not make that a variable? So here I happen to have 16 on the one that works on my brick right now. And then also there's a grasp. I put a grasp angle. And mine looks like it's 30 right now. Because different angles, you might want different angles. So I could flatten this out, or I could make it even more severe. It just depends on what you want to do, because it needs to hold that pressure in there. Oh, the light speed. Stephen, the light speed. How's it going? I guess I should chat some. Oh, light speed. Okay, so we got that part. So now we have the pieces, the variables we're going to use to change it, but now we're going to make the code. And this code gets a lot more fun. So I could, under normal circumstances, if I didn't want to color code, I want to color code in this example, but the next thing we're talking about is, in my thing, I call them arcs. So I could say, I could make a module called arcs, put it here, do the linear extrude, and life would be fine. But since I want to color it a different color, I'm going to kind of copy and paste and make a different color. So that one happens to be red. This one looks like I did blue. So we have red, green, blue, and I'll call it arcs. That's what I call it. Maybe you can call it arms. I don't know. And I got to pass it a few things. So I pass it the thickness because I want to keep that up. The height of the brick because that comes into calculation on where I need to put the art. And then I got to put a few more pieces of variables in here. So there's the grasp, depth, and I put enter here to put another line, and grasp, angle. Boom, there we go. And I can come down here and I'll make I can copy and paste that to make a module. Now this is where we'll see how quickly I can do this. Because I know what I did, but it's a lot of fun math. So in this case, I'll say that. Did I go look at my code? Now when you're coding, it's a very good idea to go slow. Do one piece, run it, do one piece, run it, do one piece, run it. Otherwise, if you write a whole bunch of stuff and you run it, it doesn't work like you want, it can be hard to debug versus going a step, a step, a step, which is how I work in my daily job when I'm coding. Okay, front arcs. And so it looks like I switched it up here. Looks like I just dumbed down the names because I can change the names here. Scope. There's the word I'm looking for, scope. So maybe not everyone's familiar with this word, but if you're in business or if you're in construction, you might say something, what's in scope? Is this in scope? You know, like let's say you're building a house and they say, hey, we want you to put a nuclear reactor in the house. And we say, hey, that wasn't part of the deal. That's not in scope. So we use that term in computer science. So this scope, in between these brackets, this is a scope. And so in here, these variables are that within this scope. So this height variable name is in scope here, and this height variable name is a different height variable, they're different scopes. So something to make note of. So what I did, going on here, we have to do two arcs. One at the top, one at the bottom, and they're going to be exact mirrors of each other. So we can just mirror them. So what I'm going to do is here, I'm calling this arcs, plural. And what I'll do, come down here is I'll make another module called single arc. I could have called, sometimes you have arc and arcs, but sometimes, you know, it can get a little confusing because there's only one letter difference. So I'll just call it single arc. And this is going to have the same variables. And so what we'll do is we'll come down here, and we might as well mirror this. Let's say, we'll make something simple so we can see what we're doing, just as an example. So I'll say circle equals 10, now equals 5, just to show that the mirroring is working. So I'll say circle equals 5, and I'll say translate. And again, with translate, we have X, Y, Z. And so for the purpose of just this quick thing, I'm not going to change the X. But the Y, I will change the Y to the height divided by 2. And the Z, again, will be 0. And so I'll come down here and I'll say, I'll copy and paste since this is going to be the same. I'll say single arc. That's the one I'm not mirroring. And I'll run that. And you can see I got this little guy up here. Then I'll come down here and do a mirror. And I'll copy and paste this. Because I mean, mirror, unfortunately, the way mirror, you would think mirror would have a variable you could pass to it that would say, hey, mirror this and keep the original. It doesn't do that. I mean, you can make a module, and there's ways of doing it. Oh, and there's Osloy. In fact, Osloy sent me a video last week showing a nice way to set up a mirror function. But for the simplicity's sake of this, it's probably a good idea in a class setting to say, hey, make a mirror function. But for right now, I'm not going to do that. So here's the mirror. So it's going to say that. It's going to say the mirror. And the mirror, to mirror, we say 0, 1, 0, because this is the planes. So this would be, we want to mirror it across the x-axis, across here. And so the way that you can mirror in different positions, but for simplicity's sake, this is a simple way to do it. Now if I run that, boom, you can see I'm mirroring. Cool, we proved that we're mirroring just fine. Now we can start to do all the fun math. So first up, what do we do? First up is first up is I'm going to do it the opposite way I originally did it in process. First we'll do the start of the arcs that come around. And so what we want to do is these arcs are going to hit right here and come up a certain angle, and that angle is going to be the angle we passed in here, you know, because we're going to, if we're going to do a 90-degree angle, that means it comes up here and just does a 90-degree angle. I think. No, what did I do? I said 90. How did I do it? How did I do it? It's been a while. No, I did it where I assumed it would be weird to do less than a 90. So I assumed 90 plus. That's what I assumed. So, okay, let's get this fun stuff going. That's what we're going to do, and it gets fun. So we're gonna have our first circle. So we're going to translate it. Okay, let's see what we did. Translate R, radius. Okay. Here's what I did. So I came down here and I made a new kind of radius. And I called it 1/3 times the depth. Translate X, Y, it works on 2D stuff. I noticed that, Oslo. I was looking at your stuff the other day. I was like, oh, I didn't realize I can, I don't have to do the Z. Bad habit. Yeah, a lot of cases when you're coding, it looks like they did that correctly, that you don't have to, yeah, I can remove, in fact, I should do that to clean that up. I don't have to, in this case, I don't have to do the Z. If you don't do the Z, Z is assumed to be 0, which is kind of nice. So I just removed that, reran it, and yeah, it's working. So, okay, so what I did at this point, this could have been a variable I passed in, but I just decided to put hard code this at this level, is how big a radius do you want here? I want a straight line to be a bit of it. So what I came up with is I said, hey, you know, this radius should be 1/3. That's just kind of what I came up with. I said, this should be 1/3 of whatever this depth is. And that's kind of seemed to work pretty fine for what I did. So I just kind of hard coded that, 1/3 of that total depth. And then from there, now that we've got that bit of data, now we know the actual radius of our circle. And so our circle, we can come down here and say, so I'll leave this translation right here for now. So I'll come down here, I'll say a circle is going to be R. So we need to create, what do I want to say, a couple of circles. So there's this radius, which we want to have here and go up. We want to have 2 circles that are tangent right at the very end of where we have this other circle so that they line up perfectly. So I can say R is the radius, but then I want to add half the thickness. So I will say R plus thickness, which if you remember, this little circle hiding behind here, there's a little circle that's the end of that hole. That is how thick that's the diameter of that. So I will take that, divide that by 2. And that is how big I want this guy to be now. And so that's going to be my outer circle as it arcs over. But as you can see, this is not positioned correctly yet because I need to change where I translate it because I want this to be very tightly hit right there. Da, da, da. So let's see. So to do that, what I need to do is I have the correct height. I've moved this up what we did before. So this circle normally would be right here, where we translate it to height divided by 2, which is exactly what we moved the other little circles to be when we made this line right here. So that's exactly where it needs to be, but now I need to shift it over a little bit. And I need to shift it over by its own self. So this new radius, we shift it over negative r, and boom, now we can see these arcs, and you can see, kind of see behind, well, in fact, let me change this thickness. Let me change, normally we'd have this height here, but let me add just a little bit to it so you can see a little, well, let me actually minus 2. Let me subtract. There you go. So you can see here's this top line. You can see right here, they're lined up perfectly. So they're tangent with each other. That's exactly what I want. And this other circle comes up and it arcs over. And so, but what I want now is I need to make a smaller circle that hits right here on the other side. And I can use it to subtract this. So I will make this second circle. And the second circle is going to be circle, it's going to be R, what did I say? R minus, so it's R minus the thickness divided by 2. So that gets us our other side. And if I did this, I just have 2 circles that are, you wouldn't even see the other one because they're in the same place. What I want to do is do a subtraction. So I'll do difference. So I'll say difference. And what a difference does is says, hey, the first thing, take the first object, and anything after that object, subtract it. So I could actually subtract more things. But in this case, I'm just going to subtract the one circle. And hopefully, there we go. So you can see that lines up just right. I do like, yeah, Go Gadget hull. I do like the hull. The hull tool is cool. And also the hull tool, I guess, is I'm kind of a math nerd because I did, with my degrees, I'm kind of a math nerd. I'm not a mathematician, but what people would consider normal math, I know pretty good. But like hulls is like a mathematical geometrical thing, which I just never was aware of. So it's actually like, it's not like a convenient tool. It's actually a mathematical thing, which I should probably go study. But it definitely is convenient for doing things like this. I'm glad they put it in. Okay, so now we've got that. So now, well, we've got this, but what we want to do is we need to subtract a portion of this. So that angle we put in there, which is the angle we're passing in, which right now is 30, what I want to do is I want to say, okay, 90 degrees is a given. So add another 30 to that, which is going to roughly be right here, and then cut that off, and then remove all the rest of it. So we need to make another shape in such a manner that we can subtract this. That's where we start to do a lot more math. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down underneath here and make a polygon. Make a polygon. And so in a polygon, and I have these points. And a point, it's just a bunch of points. So I can add a bunch of points together and make a shape. And so what my aim is mathematically to make something that starts here, let's see where I'm going to start. Where do I start? Thickness, 0. Okay. So I'm going to make it where it starts right here. So we'll go a little slow. So here, if, let's see, am I being translated? Yes, let's see. Different thickness, translate. I'm saying 0 to 2. Okay, we'll start this. So I'm doing, let's see what logic I thought before. So before I did thickness 0. So thickness 0, and over here I'll just I'll make another, we need at least 3 points, but we'll just make something strange. We'll say -10, 0. I'm going to remove these in a second. And 10, -10, just so we can see where that first point is. So now if I run that, it doesn't like me. Okay, what do I not do? Did something funny. Thickness, which is there. Let's see, points. We got the brackets. Equals. There we go. And for those who may not be familiar, when you have a bug in your code, it tries to point out the problem. And so it got close. It thought that it said, hey, this comma's a problem. Really, it was missing the equal sign. So debuggers, God bless them, it's hard. Now remember, I'm also mirroring this. So what I did, it looks like I started at thickness 0. So I went over here, and then I went -10, 0, and I went, where did I go? So there's my thickness, yeah, 0, which would get me there. And I said -10, 0, which is there, and I said 10, -10. Oh, because I'm crossing over. So yeah, there we go. Okay, so there's my first point. My first point's here. And then my second point that I did here is, looks like I did a thickness and then height divided by 2. So now that should get me, now what about me on the word height? And so now I will 10, -10, let's do 10, 10. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on there. Okay, so that's my first point right there. My second point is right here where they meet. And I'm going to want to cut over to right here, if I remember what I did correctly. Yep. And so now I'm going to go -r. That seems like it's wrong. Height divided by 2. Okay, -r divided by 2. There we go. No, that's right. Okay, so this -r, it's not positional, so it should be here, -r. That gets me dead center. Cool. That's where I want to be. And then my next one should be arcing up. Let me see what I did. So now we have lots of sines and cosines. So let me see. Let me copy what I did, and then we will recreate my thought process. So that's what I did, -r. So here I am right here, boom, -r. And what I want to do is I want to make an angle. I want to put a point up here somewhere that's an angle of 90 plus 30 degrees. And I want to make sure that I'm out far enough. I don't want to just go out r, which would be precise. I think I want to go out a little, no, this one I can be precise. So I did, looks like I did. So we got -r, so that's why I'm right there. And then I want to do my sines and cosines. So I want to go, this depends on how far you want to go up. So here is my going x and y. And so if I draw something here, how far I'm going to go? I'm going to go height divided by 2 plus 2r cosine angle. I just went up, I just used the r. Okay, I'm using that as a right angle. That's what I'm doing. Okay, I'm starting to do my right angle. So I'm doing a right angle. So what I'm doing, I'm doing this. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to draw a triangle here where I'm going to go, imagine a right triangle, it's right here. Boom, boom, boom. And so I'm going to go up. It's going to be r. Looks like I multiply it by 2 because I just wanted to be, yes, I want to multiply it by 2 so I'd make sure I could get all of this. I'm going to go 2r up from this position. And so how far do I need to go over? And so here I will go, or I do it that way. this way, sorry. That way, boom, boom. If I did it like that, there we go. So if there was a right triangle right here, I have to do theta, which is my 30. There's my my theta, and times cosine, because cosine's opposite, and that gets me where I want to go. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know on the live feeds if you were forced to watch live or if you can actually back up or not. I guess it makes sense if you. Sorry, Oslo said, "Oh, I wasn't watching the live feed. My phone was behind." Hi, so I didn't know if you. Every time I'm watching like a live feed from someone else, usually it's like live. I didn't know if you could go back and forth. It makes sense if you could pause. I just don't watch enough live feeds, I guess. Okay. Yeah, let me think through this again. So now what I want is I have 2 times r cosine. So the cosine. So if you have cosine, you have adjacent over the hypotenuse. So what I want is I have the angle, which in this case is like 30 degrees. I'm passing this angle in, and I want to know how far I need to go out. And so I said 2 cosine, and so cosine is the opposite. So we don't, we know what our hypotenuse is because that's our r. So we have cosine times the hypotenuse gets us our adjacent. There we go. That's my brain. So in that case, I would say I have to get my height divided by 2 because that's where I am, just to get me in that position. And then I add my 2 times r times the cosine of the angle. Boom. And I got to fix this guy, so I have negative r, because that gets me positioned here, then minus 2 times r times the sine of the angle. Okay. Took me a second to get my brain. So now this should put a line out here. Boom, there we go. So now we've got that. We've got this line out here. Fantastic. And so now we need to get somewhere out here. We can be a little obnoxious about this. And so what I did, I can just copy my next 2 lines over here and try to recreate them in my brain. So it looks like I said, what did I do? There we go. Minus 2 times r. So what I did is I said, hey, this is going. Let me kill that. What I said was negative r minus 2. So I took that, which is my angle over here. So I use this same thing, boom, to get myself in the same position. And then I just did a minus 2 times r, just to get myself way out there, just to make sure I have enough. And I did this like I did height divided by 2. That I just kept the same. Height divided by 2 plus 2 times, yep. So I can just copy and paste that guy, and I'm good. The fun thing of geometry. So now I'm out there, which looks like I'm probably covered, but then I want to actually go zeroed out. So what I'll do is I'll do this again. And so what I want to do is I want for my x, there's an x value I want. For my y, I want 0. And for my x, what I want to do is just keep this same location. So copy and paste, and that should give me a straight line down. He says, boom, cool. And I think I'm right. There we go. So now that I have this shape, I want to do the difference. So we have this shape up here, and we have this shape up here. We want to subtract from it. So what I can do is I can come up here and make another difference. So I can say difference, boom, boom, and close all of this. And then for me, I like to, put some space in there. By the way, I found this little indent tool down here, so I can actually use this to indent it versus doing one at a time. And also, I did go change. There is a, where was I last time? There is a way to change that. So in here, typically like being Java or something like that, I would do 4 spaces. Here, since I'm coding like this, I only have so much to go through, so I changed it. Normally it's 4, but I changed it to 2 spaces, and I forget how I did that. There's something here. I have to go look it up again. No, where are you? Preferences, edit preferences. There we go. Edit preferences, editor, and indentation width. I change it to 2. It normally is 4. And I also use spaces. I don't like tabs. I use spaces. So that's how you change that. So, and then you have this nice tool and you can go and fix things a little easier. Okay, so now if I do this, so now I should be subtracting both of them. Boom, cool. There we go. I got my angle. It's nicely color coded, and they line up just perfect mathematically. That's a nice thing to do. This mathematic, if you do the mathematics right, it should just line up perfectly. Because what you have is in this case, you see you have 2 circles really. This circle, and right where they meet, they're both tangent right there. And so they just makes them line up smoothly, and life is good. Okay, so that part's done. Now, the less fun stuff gets a lot of math. I need to make, oh, and hey, I can change, now that I have this, I can change the angle. So I can come up here and say, you know what, I don't want to make that 30 degrees, I'll make it 0. And that should make it, stick it at 90. Or I don't like 35, I'll make it 45. Or I'll make it, 60, and it will just adjust on that, which is kind of nice. Or even though you won't see it very much yet until I add the second part, this grasp depth does change that radius. So if I make this 20, you'll see that change. And it all lines up just nicely. Okay, so there's that. So now what I'm going to do is use hulls and put a circle here and a circle here, and then use a hull, but I need to make sure they're lined up and also make sure that angle is correct. Now, we'll see if I can remember I have it all coded up, but we'll see if I can remember my thought process on how I actually got it to work correctly. So let's start with the easy part. So we will, doesn't matter where this is, this can be above or below this section. I happen to have done it above. So we're going to make a circle. And so this circle is going to be like this circle here. It's going to be that thickness. And so we will run it. And in fact, let me, what do I want to do? I'm going to come up here and turn this off so that I can do colors down here so I can show you the 2 different sections. So I will come down here temporarily and I will have this section, we'll copy that. I'm going to remove it later on. But if I run this, we get the, well, sorry, that height is a different height. So we'll just hard code it to 8. So we can still see the difference here. But now I want to do that so that I can do this guy a different color, right? And we'll do an extra on him too. We'll make him 6 for now. And we'll just make him some random color. D. And we'll translate him. I need to translate him somewhere so you can actually see him. Temporarily. And white. And with Osloy's help, I don't have to remind me to not do my Z. But you can do Z. Just because it's a small thing, you don't have to. You can. But would I do that? I probably wouldn't do the Z. I'd probably do X and Y, and then make what I want to make, and then move it later or something. That's probably what I'd do. So here, I'll just say -10, just so we can see it. And you don't like what I did. Oh, how about translate? Spell it correctly. we go. Okay, so there it is. And it's mirrored. Yeah, and as I just said, and the demonstration of what doing the math correctly allows you to do. This is the really cool thing because if you understand the math and you can do the sines and cosines and all that, and especially if you're like a visual learner, boy, you can really mathematically hit those tangents and make it really cool. Oh, Z, as I just said, Z gets ignored on translated on 2D objects. So I guess 2D objects can't be moved anywhere. I just remember I've done it, I guess, recently. Okay, so now it's just so we can see that. So now we have this circle, and we have it at a different height. And so we need to translate it. So we have two circles. One should be relatively easy because we're going to move it right here. And so that is going to be a lot of fun math. So let's see, 0. Okay, so what we have is, in essence, we have a negative r. We'll get it close, and then we'll nudge it in the correct position. So we want it to be negative r, which would give us right here at the center of this. And we'll say, and we'll do height divided by 2. And so, oh man, something about my typing, I can't get it. And so you can see that's exactly centered right there. And what we want to do is we want to move it so that this is right here, and so these line up tangent with what's here, just like over here, so that we can extend that really easily. And that's where our fun nudging gets. So we want to move that. Let me look at my thing. Negative sine angle times r. And so we have, yeah. So if we think of the center right here, if we draw a line straight down and a line straight across to the center here, now we've got a right triangle. Boom, boom, boom. And we know what the radius is going to be. The hypotenuse is r. And we know what the angle is. So if we want to move it up, in fact, let's move it this way, the x way, x first. We want to nudge it, and we want to nudge it this way, which would be the sine. Yeah, it'd be the sine. So that'll be the sine of theta opposite over hypotenuse. So sine of theta times the hypotenuse will give us our, no, cosine. Nope, sine. Okay, so we want to move that over. So we'll say negative r, move it over, but then we want to do negative r times the sine of that angle that got passed in. And so that should move us right there. So now we're in the correct x location, but now we need to move it up a little bit in the y. And so we have that height, yeah, we have the height, and then we want to add, in this case, not subtract, add r times the cosine, right? Cosine of the angle, boom, and that should get us in the right location. Yay! So now you can see it just matches up beautifully there. But now we need to put a second one, which is going to be exactly, it's going to be parallel. So if we drew a line here where the tangent is on the circle, it'll be down here somewhere, so it'll line up exactly perfectly. And that's some more math. So we got that. So what I did, wait, I'm going to have to copy this and paste. Let's see if what I did is a little lazy thinking. Let me copy and paste and see if I can speak through what I did. So we got that circle. We translated, there we go. So now for our second circle. Let me count this out. So we have our second circle, and it's again going to have the same thickness, and so we'll translate it somewhere just so we can have it out of the way. So we'll say thickness divided by 2, and we'll just make it a negative r so it shows up in that circle spot again, right there in the center, or not. Okay, what are you doing? height. There we go. Just to get it somewhere near, but we want to get it over here. So what we're going to do is we want to, y equals mx plus b. And so we can go do all the fun math to, we know what is going on. Let me see if I can remember how to describe this. I don't know if I probably don't have the time. I probably don't have the time to describe what I did here. But we know, and I should have wrote this out so I have the time to describe it. So if I could draw, we know what this is. So we know what angle this is. We know what angle this is. So we can calculate our m. It's possible to calculate our m because we know exactly what this angle is going to be, but we need to calculate where it's going to hit on the b. Y equals mx plus b. And so I went through and did this and figured out what the b is going to do. And then I lazily translated it. Let's see, what did I do with the depth? Yes. We need that. Okay, let me smooth. I wish I had more time to explain this, but this is calculating the b as if it hits here. And then the next thing we want to do is this is going to be at the negative depth. We know how deep we want this to be. So we want to follow this line down, and this needs to be positioned at negative depth. So no matter what you calculate, the x position will be negative depth. And then negative depth, what we can start using is we have this angle, and the angle, we know our angle, and so that way we can use the tangent. So we say tangent angle plus b, and so that gets us where we need to be, and then we lazily translate it. I wish I could explain it better. This is where it gets fun. Maybe I should do, if I do another video, I'll probably do another video following up this, and I probably should do a section explaining my logic here with some more diagrams. I just don't have enough time because I want to eat dinner tonight. But basically the idea is, hey, if I came here and I draw a line, I know what my angle should be. I can figure out my m is your rise or your run. You can use your tangent theta for that, and you can figure out your b, and I should probably do all the calculations to show you how to do that, but that would be a fun exercise for a class. And I feel bad that I can't explain it very well right now because I need to write it down better. But you do all that, and then I have this in the correct position. Now it's in the correct position, I can do my hole. And if I run that, boom, I get connected, and you can see it lines up just perfectly because it's tangent right there. I could have gone at a different angle and then it wouldn't line up perfectly smoothly. But now that I've done that, I can come here and I can change all these angles at the top, and I can say, you know what, I don't want it to be 45, 30, I want it to be 45. I don't want a depth of 16, I want 25, and rerun it. And it makes it all line up perfectly for you. The joys of math. And I feel bad that I didn't prep well enough to explain what I did well enough, but you get the idea. Okay, so now that we've got that, and you can see since we're mirroring, mirrors just fine on the side. And so with that in mind, I will go remove these extra colors. So I'll remove this linear extrude. I'll have the hole. Boom. And I'll move that. And remove all that. And move to those. And hopefully we're good. Oh, didn't like something I did. 60. Oh, 3, 5. Should remove those two. There we go. So now, good. Now I'll come up here and put the colors back as one color. Boom. And there we go. We got our blue. So we got the first part done. But now we need to do this big old arc out here. Now this big old arc, I'm going to follow the same idea. What I want to do is only on one side. I don't need to mirror it. I want to do another circle, big circle, that meets up with the little circle here, but is much bigger than this little guy and comes out a bit, arcs up, and then again does another line. So let's see, how are we doing on time? Something somewhere should tell me how much time I've done. Because I want to go over a couple hours. Oh, I'm only at an hour, so I'm good. Okay, so the next section, we'll get this next guy done. And so I got that, and we'll do another color. Boom. Boom. There we go. And we'll call this, I called it arm, because the arm going out that holds things. So the arm needs a lot of data, because it needs to know where that circle is, and also how there's an arm angle. Oh, which I need to add that, don't I? I need to add this. So front arm, I will add arm diameter. Guess the diameter of the big circle. That's kind of how it arcs up. Looks like mine I use 90. Arm angle. Oh yeah, I set it up here. I could have set it to be a percentage. I'll leave it right now, but I did not. This is the diameter of the big circle we'll be making. And here I didn't do that for the little circle. I just made it 1/3. So maybe it'd been a better idea to make it 1/3, but here's the variable, and it is what it is. And we'll say 35 for the arm angle is what I have. An arm length for the one I'm holding in front of me, it has a length of 85. Boom. And so we'll use that, and we'll make this arm, and we'll pass all these guys in. And so we'll come down and make a new module called arm. I'll do a little copy and paste them. And I'll run this, and of course nothing will happen because nothing exists. And we'll come down here and we'll start to do some fun math. So how do I use arm diameter? Did I not use it? Arm diameter. Oh, I did. Okay. So we're gonna come down here and do lots of fun math. Let's see. So the first thing, we'll just draw a couple of circles. So we'll come down here, and so we don't need to mirror anything. We'll come down here, and we will draw our circles. And our circles, we're gonna have a big one and one slightly smaller, based on the same principle. We're deleting part of it, right? So the arm diameter, which we're passing as a variable, plus the thickness, and then we'll make the, well, let's just run that. We're not going to position it correctly, but you can see this is a big circle, big green circle. And then I'll make the smaller one to subtract from it. We'll say d equals arm diameter minus the thickness. Of course, if I run this, you're not going to see it, but we want the difference between the two, right? Do a difference. Run that, and there is my arc, but it's not in the right position because I want it to line up with the little circle right here, so I get that little nice tangent thing going. So we got to do a lot of math. Okay, so we'll come down here, and I will repeat again. I'll say E equals 1/3 times the depth, because what I need to repeat where this guy ends over here, because I need that calculation. And this is the bad thing about coding it. If I pass in the variable, it'd be a better thing to do. In fact, I should maybe do that. It'd be better to pass in as a variable, because if I change my mind, I don't want it at a 3rd depth, I want it at a 4th, I have to change it in 2 places. I'll keep it like this for the moment, because that's what I coded over here. But this is a bad way to do it, because if I change it, I got to change it in 2 modules. That's not good. I should have passed it as a variable. So we got a 3rd depth, And we have, I started doing some x1s. So x1 equals negative r times the sine of angle negative r, negative r minus r times the sine of the angle. Yes. Because we're getting that little position. That's that x1 there. And we want that y1, which is negative height divided by 2 plus the cosine of the angle, I'll say r times, boom. Oh, I'm going to multiply. Boom, multiply that to depth. So we got that. Now, I should, let me remove this again so that we can do it more details here. Do some more details in this guy. So what we'll do, come down here, we'll say that is, now I'll put them across the edge here because I don't want to keep them, I'll do that because I don't really want to keep these around. That'll remind me not to keep them around. Okay, so we'll make that one green, we'll make that the height, and we'll make that the height minus 4. We'll hard code it about 4. And height times 2. Oh, try call that there. Run that. Okay. Just so I can see that. And what I'm going to do now, I'll make another color here. 1, 0, 55, whatever that color might be. I'm going to extrude, boom, boom. Make this 14. What I'm going to do is I'll put a circle in here, just to show that we're hitting that circle. We need to recreate, we need that information of where the circle would hit. So that circle D should equal thickness. Now this bit of code I'm going to remove. I just want to prove where I am where I am. So there we go. We can see it popping out here. And that is a horrible color. I need something different. Oh, come on. Why are you showing green? At least I'll show it red. Okay, so it's right there, but I need to translate it. So I will translate it. And again, we translate it x and y, which are not variables, but I did write x1, y1. So I do x1, y1. Hopefully I get it in the right position. Boom, there we go. So that's that right position, just so we can visually see that. And I need this to line up tangent with it. So what I need to do is a fun thing. Let's see if yes, my brain is in gear. Okay, I know what I did. So I need an x and a y for the center of this circle. Right now, this circle center is the exact center, 0, 0. Where do I move it? So I will copy and paste what I have, and let me comment it out and recreate it. So what we have here for x2, there's some facts that we know. And so what we do know, we know the radius of this. This has already been passed in. So the radius here is this arm, well, the diameter. We know the diameter of this. And the radius is just divided by 2. And so we know that. What we also know is we know where this guy is. We know the center of him. His center is x1, y1. And we also know what the angle of this is. And so what we want to do, what we really want to do is draw a line perpendicular to this tangent right here that just goes up and up and up and up and up. And I'm kind of, showing a little angle right here. And go along that line, the radius of what this guy is, make a mark, And that's where we should move the x2 and y2, and that will be our center, and then we will line up exactly with this. So to do that, we have x2, so we have x2 is going to be x1 plus that nudge. And so what we have is we have the radius, arm diameter, right? Arm diameter divided by 2, multiplied by the sine of that angle. We know what that angle is, so we just have to multiply it by the sine of the angle to get our x distance over there, right? Sine, angle, boom, and then just to show that, I'll say, I won't say anything, I'll say, come down here, and this should be, let me look at my code, translate. Okay, so we'll come down here and we'll say, translate x, let me do that, down. So again, x, y. In this case, I'll say x2, and for y, I'll just put 0 for the moment because I haven't defined y2 yet. And I'll run it, and we'll see I did an error. Oh, sine of an angle. There we go. Forgot that. Boom. And now you see it's moved over. It's hard to tell if it's moved over correctly because we need to move it down to really hit that and see how it lines up. But you can see the y2s would be really similar. So we have y2 equals y1 plus the arm diameter divided by 2, which is our radius, times the cosine of the angle, which is going to give us our next little nudge. And then, oh, okay, I defined y2, but I didn't put y2 down here. Now I put y2 down here, run it, and boom, you'll see that we should be lined up just exactly. So if I angle this, you can see right there, it's hitting it smoothly. As always, if anyone has any questions or wants to say anything in chat or slow me down or has a suggestion, you can. And I kind of look over every couple minutes to see if anyone's posting things. Okay, so we got that. Now I can remove these guys, run it, and we have this arc exactly like we want to. But now we want to do exactly what we did over here, where we stop somewhere and then we have a straight line going. So we need to cut it, just like we cut the other one. And so, what did I do that? So, we have to do a bunch of points. So we'll come down here, and I'll leave, we're going to make another, we're going to do a set of polygons like we did before, and we'll subtract it. But in this case, I will leave the polygons in place, and then we'll, once we can see what we've done, we'll remove it. So we got polygon points, and equals, boom, 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 boom. And we start putting some points in here. 0, 0, you know, something. We need 3 points, otherwise we really can't see anything. And let's see, look at my code over here and see what weirdness I did. Okay, so the first point, 0, 0. We're going to start here, right here, before we go anywhere. And so the next point, we'll go over, let's see, -2 times r times some angle. Oh, I made my life more complicated, didn't I? -2 times the arm diameter times some angle. No, I made my life a little more complicated the way I did it. I think. Because we have the position, we have the center, x2 and y2. Okay, so you can say, no, we'll say, mine technically works, but I think I just need to rework it. Make it simpler. So you're going to say x2 and y2, which should be the center here. In fact, let me see. Let me make that my second point. x2 and y2. My first point we should make should be a negative. We can say x2, y2. Yeah, we could do that. And then we want to go backwards. So we can say minus the diameter. So that'll be, that should give me I'll say 0, negative 40, just to put a point in there. On 127. Okay, polygon. Didn't like what I did there. Undefined. X2. Oh, arm diameter. Oh, yeah. Arm diameter. How about that? There we go. So the first point is just out here somewhere. Oh, I don't like. Do I need to? I don't need that. That's not good. Well, we'll put that at the bottom for now. I need to undo what I just did. That's not right. Okay, so the first point is going to be there. Boom. So the first point will be here, right here. That's the one we care about. And then what we want to do is we want to go down here, but we also want to go beyond. So we want to do, well, we know the angles. Oh, did I just translate it? Oh, I did it lazily. That's what I did. Okay. I'm trying to be too precise here. And okay, my brain's back. So, yeah, there we go. I put it up. That's what I did. So to make my life simple, that's what I did. I did it right. Is I translate it. So I'm translating this position x2, y2, which gets me in the center. So I'm in the center, and now I can draw my polygon from the center. So that makes it a little simpler for me to do the math. So now I just need some diameters and sines and cosines and making it bigger. So I will start with 0, 0. So 0, 0 is not really 0, 0. It is 0, 0. We've translated it. So the 0, 0 is going to be the exact center of this newly moved circle. There we go. And then what I want to do is I want to go out 2. And so I'll say I want to go out. We'll make something that's twice as long as the diameter. We'll make it really big. And so we'll kind of draw a, let's see, we'll go negative. Yeah, we'll go negative. Because we got the angle and we got the arm angle. We have 2 angles we're dealing with as we passed in. We have the angle, which is the angle down here. And we have the arm angle, which is the angle we want out here. There we go. So I'll say negative 2, just because I want to make it obnoxiously big. Negative 2 times the arm diameter. Times, times the sine of the angle, which is this angle down here. So I'm drawing like a square. I'm going down here, there, but I'm going beyond. And then for the next point, same thing, but cosine. There we go. Boom. And so now I'm getting that first line. You can see it's cutting right through there perfectly. Yeah. Okay, it gets all the way out here. And so now that I'm all the way out there, I want to keep my x position. So I will keep that the same. And then my y, now I want to go tall. So at this point, do I really care? It's like I have 2 times the cosine. Why did I do that? I say negative 2, that gets my x. My y is just on the other side. I don't need to do that. I can just say 2 times. Boom. So now it's up there way high. And then the next position, I'm going to get around. And so that's really easy. I can say 2 times the arm diameter for both. I did some other calculations, which I didn't have to do, apparently. That gets me over there. And then I want to get down here, but I want to get down here precisely so that when I come back, I have a perfect cut. Now this one matters. Boom, boom. I pretended the other one mattered before. Okay, so now I can say that should be 2 times the arm diameter. Uh, 2 times the arm diameter multiplied by the, looks like the sine of, and so now we used the angle before for the inner angle. Now I want to use the arm angle. So the sine of the arm angle, and then I have 2 times the arm diameter times the cosine of the arm angle. Boom. And hopefully that should cover, nope, I did that wrong. Oh, minus. How about minus because we're going down? There we go. Boom. And so that now should be what I need to cut this guy off. And so now we have, we'll put another difference in here. We'll say difference. And do that. And so now we've got the little angle. And it perfectly aligns up in there nicely and smoothly. So now the next thing to do, the last thing to really do, is this little section that goes all the way out to the distance we want to go out. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing we did before. We need to draw 2 little circles and make a hole, but we need to make sure the angle is correct. So let me start to draw those circles, and we will do a different color for those 2. So we'll come down here, and we'll make this, I don't know, 6 for now, and we'll call it 10, 10, just so it comes out somewhere, and boom. So we're going to move this guy. So we want this to be right there, and then we'll make our next one. So how do we translate this fun stuff? Let's see what I did here. We got the whole, which is there, translate x2. Okay, so we have our x2. Okay, so we're going to come down here and translate, and we'll say x2. Yes. So if we say x2 and y2, that should put us right in the dead center of where our circle is, our big circle. So x2, y2, that is right where the center of this bigger circle is. So now we need to nudge it because we want it to be right here, and we know this angle, right? We know what this wants to be, and we've already got that in there. So we just need to do plus the arm plus, let's say, we want the radius. So the radius is the arm diameter divided by 2, right? And we multiply that by the sine of the arm angle. And so that will put us in the correct x position for this guy down here. And then we want to do the same thing with the y. So the y, plus the arm, well, in this case, minus, sorry, because we're going down. Minus the arm diameter. Oh, my daughter's looking at me.
I'll show you my new sweatpants.
Well, I'm doing a live video, but you can always, what are you going to show me?
No, sweatpants.
Sweatpants.
I got new ones. Finally.
They're soft.
I know.
Fantastic.
And they were cheap too.
Even better.
They were $8 each.
Good deal.
Good deal, great deal.
Okay. And that's my daughter.
I have spaghetti tonight.
From spaghetti?
Yeah.
Even better.
Spaghetti.
Okay, so now, boom, there we go. We got that guy in the correct position. So x and y, and then we had to do our little, sines and cosines with the diameter, the radius, and get it in the right position, and life is good. So there's that guy. But now we need to get the other guy. So that is a fun one. So let's see. So now we can do another translate. And oops, I didn't copy that. We'll just copy that. And we'll say, let's call it 0, 0 for now. 0, 0. And how about we do that? Okay, so 0, 0, and you're not showing up. Oh, because you're 0, 0. Let me do x2, y2. Boom. There we are. So now we need to get him in the right position. So it looks like I made another, looks like I made an x3 and a y3. So what did I do with x3 and y3? So I'll just make them x2 and y2 for the moment, just to put them down here. I'll say x3, y3. We'll run it. We get the same results. Life is good. And now let's go change these. So x3, x3 is easy. Now x3 is our arm length. That's how far we want it to be out. Period, the end. So that's an easy one. So we'll just say arm length. Boom. So now that's exactly where it needs to be based on how far we want it to be out, and we can change that variable. What we want to do is we're going to change this in its y position to make sure that when they match up that they're going to be completely perfectly tangent. That's where we have to do some math. And let me copy and paste this and see if I can remember my math a little bit. Okay, so we have the y2, which is right here. And what's going to happen is we're going to come down here, and we know minus the arm diameter divided by 2 tangent. Okay, we come down here. Let's do that y. Plus. Okay, so to get to the y here, we have this part, right? So if I say that, let me comment this out so I don't mess myself up. This arm diameter divided by 2, the radius of our big one, times the cosine of this arm angle, which is this angle right here, will get us this, will get us the distance from the y from our y2 position. And so that should look exactly like what I have down here. Yep, see, arm 2, cosine arm angle. So if I run this right now, this will move this right down here. So it'll be right in line with it. Oh, cool. Now we need to nudge it back up. So to nudge it back up, we need to add the tangent. So we know what the tangent of that arm angle is. And let's see what I did here. So we do that, and we add back in, add the tangent of the arm angle times the arm length minus, did I just do a bunch of math here and forget what I did? Could be. Because we know that. So we have tangent of the arm angle, which is our guy. And we have arm length. Oh man, I don't remember what I did. Don't remember exactly what I did with this fun math. Maybe I need to go do another video review what my brain was thinking. So we have the tangent of the arm angle, because if we had this line here, oh lord, that's logo 3D printing. Oh hello, just say it's he says it's 1 a.m. in the UK. I just got home from an 11-hour shift, so I need to bed. Oh lord, go to bed. Okay, that's a late night. But hello, and this is a live feed, so it'll be recorded. You can watch it later. I should probably mix up my time so I could do some earlier ones, because there are a lot of people who are in the 3D printing. There's a lot of Europeans. There's a lot of Germans, a lot of British folks who are into 3D printing. So there's a lot. I don't know what the split is, but it's a huge community. It's not, most of my videos I've seen get watched are, it's America, it's Britain, it's Germany, it's some French folks. There's a lot of people. It's really cool. Okay. And I always think, you would think it's mundane to me now because the internet's been around for so long and life is cool, but it's really still neat when you get a post from somebody in another country. I don't know what it is, It's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. No duh someone in Germany is watching you or here if you're doing something interesting. But it's still kind of neat when someone says, hey, from Germany and I watched you, or England. It's just kind of cool. Hit the thumbs up. Thanks. Okay. Let's see if I can remember my logic here. So we have our arm length. So let's see if I can. I need to draw this out better. So this angle right here. If we draw this angle, we draw a line right here, and we draw this tangent line right here. This angle right here is going to be the same. This angle, if I drew a line where I want this to go tangently, this angle right here is going to be the same as the angle right here, 90 degrees. And so I can reuse that. And so I have that. So I know what this is. And I know what the length between here and here is. Ah, that's what I did. So imagine if I draw a triangle like this, right triangle. Boom, boom. There we go. There's my brain. Good night. Yeah, good night, just logos. 3D printing. Have a good one. 11-hour shift deserves some sleep. Okay, that's what I did. So imagine a right triangle right here, here, and here. And this angle here is the same angle that's right here. And so I can use my rules about being tangent. Tangent equals the opposite over the adjacent. And so I know my adjacent in this case. My adjacent in this case is going to be the overall length, the arm length I want, minus the arm, this guy, which is my x2, x2 plus arm diameter, yeah, arm angle. So this gets me, I need to know where I am right here. Oh, there we go. So I know that. And so I subtract the 2, multiply by the tangent, and then I can get my y. That's what I did. So there's my tangent guy. So I know I want to know that. And I know this. Okay, that's why I can do it. Because I can say tangent times the arm angle times the arm length overall minus this calculation. This calculation is where this x position is right here, which is just x, which is what I did right here. Sine of arm angle. Yes, there we go. There's my brain. Yep. So that's what I did, and okay, there you go. So you need your tangent, and then you get in the right position, and then I run you, and boom, there you go. That's my thinking. Okay, that's correct. Fun with geometry. Now that I have that, now I can come down here and just do holes again. And I'll put that in there, and run it, and there we go. And we're connected. So that's it. Let me go back and remove these extra little color pieces. And even as I remove them, I'm going to remove it and run it. Make sure I didn't break anything. Okay. Remove it. And remove it, run it. And then remove this section and run it. Oh, this is that extra circle. I don't need this. I don't need this little extra circle I just made so we can see things. Don't need that. And then come back up here and add back in the color. Boom. And now you can see I got the different heights. But let me remove that height. And it'll be a little mixed, but that's okay. And now we can see I've repeated what I did. And so now we've got it. And so let me take it as is, copy it. I'll probably do a follow-up video on this, but let me go put it out on GitHub right now, which I think I have. Yeah, there we go. I have it open. Let me paste this in here and put a link here, and we'll call this brick wall hanger. Openscad and create it. And I'll put a link here right now in the chat for anyone who's interested. But I'll probably clean this up the next couple of days, and I'll post it on Thingiverse with some already things out here. But you know, me, uh, this is where OpenSCAD is really cool. If anyone has any questions, pipe up now. But this is where I think it's really cool because I was able, where's my example? I was able to make a solution for myself in Fusion 360 just fine. And in Fusion 360, you can do some variables, but the end result to people on Thingiverse is like, okay, I'm just going to use what you have, which would be fine if you're using some uniform brick. Because you'd be like, hey, if you have a brick that happens to be this exact size, here you go. But what happens if you don't? In that case, I can't post 400 things on Thingiverse. That's where OpenSCAD makes life really cool because I can make the variables explain how to use my program, and then they can go in here and tweak it. So if someone else wants to use this, what I would suggest doing is come down here and say, you know what, I'll make the height 1 because I'm not sure about my brick and how it's going to lie. Because even if I know my brick size, I want this to squeeze a little bit on it, right? So you do that, you make a couple of changes, print it out, and then see if you like it. And if you don't like it, like today, for Thanksgiving, we hung a wreath. Worked perfectly, although I have a story about that, which I'll tell in a minute. But now they want to hang this other thing, and it's too long. So I actually went up today. I know all my other numbers are good, so I changed this to a lower number. I think it was maybe it was 55. And boom, printed it, and was able to test it, and it worked just fine before I started making a bigger one. Or I even made a, in this case, actually made a double thick one. Because everyone's going to have a different need, or they might, you know, find out in their case that they want to change the angle of these because it's not going to work exactly for them. But this thing, I like this. I like how this worked based on what people were doing. The fact that, you know, you squeeze more and it squeezes more. As you put more weight on it, it squeezes. Now this, you know, you're not going to put a, well, I wouldn't think you're going to put a 50-pound weight on it. What we did hang on, the wreath we hung was 1.5 kilograms. So roughly 3 or 4 pounds, and it worked just fine. But anyway, so there's OpenSCAD. Hopefully this demo was, this walkthrough was helpful and people learned a few things. But one note of warning, fireplaces are hot. So I'm gonna have some videos coming out here in the next, we'll give it a, I might be a little bit in the next few weeks, but give me, before Christmas I'll get these out because I want to do an experiment. We had this hanging up just fine for many, many days. Life was good, and we had this wreath on it. However, it's at a fireplace, a show fireplace. So it's all a gas fireplace. We don't turn it on ever. So what we did is for Thanksgiving, we turned it on, left it on all day. And slowly but surely, the brick started to heat up. And they didn't get that hot. You know, over the course of the day, they get warm to the touch, like a hot bath kind of temperature. So you can put your hand on and hold it all day long. But they got warm, warmer, warmer, warmer. And then all of a sudden we look over after, I would guess, 6 or 8 hours, and all of a sudden the wreath collapsed and fell on the ground. And we went from having a shape like this, let's see if I can show that pretty well, to ending up with a shape like that. So over the course of the day, and this is PLA, it started to deform with the weight and the temperature. So I'm hoping in the next few weeks to run an experiment because we're going to hang some other stuff up there. We don't use the fireplace, so hanging up there is just fine. But the day we turn the fireplace on, what's a good design? Can I overcome this issue? Or the first video will be just to see what is the issue? How long does it take for these things to deform, and what's the temperature, and what happens? And what happens PLA versus PETG, which has a higher temperature? I don't know. I've seen some videos that describe what could happen, but I want to see what actually happens in my case. And it could be one of those things that you may have to go, hey, you know what? It's plastic. At these temperatures, unless you're going to do something fancy or have a real higher temperature material, it's maybe it's just going to plastically deform under the stress and the heat. I don't know. And if that's the case, maybe we know, hey, you want to turn the fireplace on? Take this hanging off. I don't know. But that's something that's probably going to come in the next few weeks. But anyway, I think that's enough of this video. So for those who are out there, the GitHub link is out there right now, and I'll probably be posting this in a little bit better format the next couple of days on Thingiverse. So I will end this stream, and if anyone has anything to pipe up, they can say it now. Otherwise, you got about 30 seconds. I'm gonna get some spaghetti because I like spaghetti. Okay, good night all.